Our story begins in 1609 when the Dutch East India Company settled in the southern trading post of Herado. This made the Netherlands the only Western nation able to trade with Japan after Catholic merchants and missionaries were definitely ousted by the Tokugawa dynasty. This exclusive relationship between Japan and the Netherlands created unique cultural paradoxes. While Japan seeked to preserve its cultural and social identity by closing its borders to foreign influence, new yet scarce areas of porosity emerged in unexpected ways. Cornelia's story will show how the Dutch themselves dealt with these unique cultural encounters. In 1623, a new Dutch governor was appointed to manage the VOC in Herado. Cornelia van Nijenroode arrived from an expedition in Formosa, after having already traded and traveled through East and Southeast Asia for 14 years, especially in Siam. The rules of the Japanese island of Herado were particularly strict, following Sakoku principle of cultural isolationism, but these rules were somewhat imperfect. That is how the Japanese courtesan Surishia gave birth to Cornelia's first daughter, Cornelia, in 1629. Cornelia soon had a little sister. Meantime, Sakoku rules implied to ban all Christian cult and the Bible on Japanese territory. Mixed children were intrinsically paradoxical in such a political context. They bore Japanese features and a Christian name. They were at the same time brought up by a Japanese mother and a Western father. Were they considered Japanese by Japan? These undefined situations and the laxity of the full application of the Sakoku rules spurred the Tokugawa to force the VOC into moving to the tiny artificial island of Dejima, where Cornelis died in 1633, just before sailing for Batavia. However mixed, 4-year-old Cornelia was definitely considered as Christian by the Dutch and had to pursue a Christian education. The VOC decided to send her and her sister to Batavia in modern Indonesia, separating both girls from their mother. This shows the true cultural duality of these girls. Indeed, the VOC believed that it was impossible to raise a child in Christian ways in Japan without a Christian parent. This demonstrates the extent to which religion for the Dutch merchants of Japan was still important, yet a very private and secretive affair, and that they did not convert their concubines. Cornelia's adventure had only just begun. She became well learned in business and married Peter Knoll in 1652 in Batavia, where he was manager of trade for the VOC. For the 20 next years of their marriage, she fully contributed to his commerce, while giving him several children, though only one made it through adulthood. This family portrait, painted in 1665, shows the couple with 2 of their daughters. Their wealth is finely depicted through the jewelry, the clothing that corresponding to the highest Dutch fashion standards of the time, and their manners. The decor also shows the connectedness of Dutch and Asian trade epitomized by this couple. A daughter holds a Japanese fan, the other holds an Asian box. The vase resembles Chinese crafts. Fantasy also adds to these cultural mixes. The real terrace was wooden, and the Japanese coast of Batavia was flat, unlike what Jacob Coman painted. In the background, 2 of their 50 enslaved Indonesian servants appear, showing Cornelia and Peter's opulence, their involvement in slavery, and paradoxically, a certain proximity with the servants that are depicted in a surprisingly casual way. The portrait suggests friendship between the servants. The male servant has an exceptional destiny of his own, as he is possibly Untung Surapati, the son of a Balinese general who was enslaved as a child, who has later had a child with a Dutch daughter of a VOC merchant, and who led a rebellion, but that's another story. In 1672, Cornelia's husband Peter died. She soon remarried with Johan Bitter, a legal advisor for the VOC in Batavia. The Dutch historian Leonard Blusset told their story in his book Bitter Bonds, a colonial divorce drama of the 17th century. Indeed, Cornelia was deprived of her money by her husband, yet she was determined to get it back. She traveled to the Netherlands to file for a divorce, struggled for years, and died in 1692 before obtaining justice. It is because of her incredible destiny and of her strength that Cornelia van Nijenroode became a heroine of contemporary Japanese feminists. This woman, who has been nicknamed Atemba, Japanese for indomitable, is an example of the empowerment of the local wives of Western merchants, but also of the possible destinies of mixed children and the cultural challenges and marvels that these situations created between connectedness and isolationism.